Why didn't China lose the mandate of heaven? Why didn't the Chinese Communist Party lose the mandate of heaven when defeated by the Vietnamese? So the Chinese invaded Vietnam in the late 1970s, I think 1979 was it? Uh, they invaded Vietnam and they suffered a disastrous defeat at the hands of the Vietnamese army, and it was a disaster. Yes, it was a military disaster. It was a debacle. So I had said in one of my previous episodes that there is a concept called the mandate of heaven. So historically, Chinese emperors were seen to have the mandate of heaven when they were able to rule the country with a strong, firm hand. And when they lost uh, a military engagement or a military campaign, then that's when they were said to have lost the mandate of heaven, and that's when the people rebelled against them, and that's when dynasties would fall and eventually new dynasties would emerge. So basically, you would lose the mandate of heaven if you were to have a terrible military defeat. And I extended this concept to apply to the Chinese Communist Party. I said that the Chinese Communist Party is nothing but a new imperial dynasty, and the only way they will go out of power is if they experience a catastrophic military defeat somewhere, in which case they will be seen to have lost legitimacy and the mandate of heaven in the eyes of the Chinese people. And then that's when you would have a rebellion, whether it's internal to the CCP or external to it within China. So now this is a good question. It's a brilliant question. Why didn't the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, lose this mandate of heaven when defeated by the Vietnamese? It's because they were able. See, in 1978, 79, China was a closed society. It was very much like what North Korea is today. There was no influence of the external world into China. There was no internet, there was no BBC, there was no CNN, there was nothing. The only news media, whatever the Chinese people would consume, was all official Chinese Communist Party news and propaganda. That's all. So what happened in Vietnam did not ever reach the eyes and ears of the Chinese population, because all news was strictly controlled. So I would expect that this military defeat was twisted into a military victory for the Chinese population. And they must have been told that we taught the Vietnamese a great lesson and we killed so many of their soldiers, and we then came back after teaching them the lesson. So that's the kind of spin that must have been given to this entire debacle by the Chinese Communist Party. And that's how they were not seen to have lost the mandate of heaven. If something like that were to happen today, in today's age of the internet, in the age of the what do you call it, VPNs. So the Chinese people are able to circumvent the Great Firewall using VPNs, virtual private networks. So it's impossible today for such a debacle to remain secret. And if such a debacle were to happen today, then the Chinese people would come to know about it. Then dissatisfaction would rise exponentially, and there would be a rebellion, maybe within the Chinese Communist Party itself, a coup of sorts, or there could be rebellions in Chinese territory as well. So that's the thing. They were able to sanitize the version of what happened, and they were able to project it as a Chinese victory to the Chinese people. And that's why there was no dissatisfaction or rebellion anywhere.